Good morning to the Nonsense FC supporters. It is a good morning. Today is May 9th,
The
Champions
early morning.
Day, early morning. Going to get this done for you guys. Once again with my co-host, Eric Cruz. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Doing good. Today is Champions League, Real Madrid's big challenge against Man City. It's gonna be a good game. Definitely looking forward to this one. I'm nervous though. I can't lie. I can't lie. I'm nervous.
Eh, it can go either way today, but let's start with a
Some
Premier League,
Premier.
some Premier League recaps, how the league is looking, how it's looking to end. And then we'll transition into Champions League because that's how how it was produced. But what are your thoughts? How does it end? It looks over.
It does. I'll tell you who it look over for. Southampton is definitely being relegated. Um. So for people who don't know, the bottom I would say probably the bottom five is what you have to worry about. Which you have Nottingham Forest, Everton, Leicester City, Leeds United, and Southampton. And Nottingham Forest and Leeds United, which they're in between four teams, only 2 points separates them. Um, so it could really either go either way for all these teams. Like if they lose their last final four games, they're out. Um, Everton had a big win yesterday over Brighton, which surprised the hell out of me. Whooped them like 5-1. I don't even know how they pulled that off. Um, Leeds and Leicester, I think they lost over the weekend, if I remember correctly. Yeah, Leeds lost against Man City of all teams. Leicester lost to Fulham yesterday, which crazy to think that Fulham has been playing so well, and it's I think this the first year they've been back in the Premier League has been relegated as well. Um, if I had, I forgot we had an episode on this, and if we were betting men, who we have picked. I know we said Southampton, and I think I said Everton and Leeds. I think is what I said.
Yeah, I think that's what you said, Everton and Leeds, because then I rebutted and said that Leeds was not going to relegate, but I don't see that dumpster fire coming
Being
out.
put out.
No.
Yeah, they
You
just
you you can see which is a good thing for the U.S. national team as far
is it though?
hold on, as far as important players. Like as soon as Adams got hurt, it went downhill for Leeds.
Oh yeah, it did.
Like
I well,
that
oh,
midfield that
I see
midfield
what
was lost.
yeah, yeah, I see what you're trying to say.
Yeah, and I believe all the pressure on the field was put on McKennie, but McKennie's not that box to box
Well,
player.
and he's not as defensive minded as Tyler Adams, I would say.
Yeah, he
I think he plays more of a box to box role where Tyler Adams is literally, I feel like he's like a cleanup player. Like he prevents you from trying to attack, and he's defensively minded, like just always thinking about
yeah,
stopping the opponent.
he's so annoying on the field, like in a good way. Like he
Oh yeah, yeah.
he you just know, like, all right, for example, you have Adam and McKennie, right? McKennie knows that he can press a little bit higher and not drop as much because Adams is going to be there. But that's a story for another day. I don't. Yeah, I'm going to agree with you. Although I don't think Everton.
I think Everton drops, to be honest. I know they're like 2 points clear right now, but
I
I think
mean,
that win against Brighton was a fluke.
it could have been a fluke. I mean, they do have a so hard schedule. They play City next, then they
They play
go.
City next,
Yeah, they play City on Sunday. Then they play Wolves and they play Bournemouth.
Bournemouth, and the
Not,
Wolves.
I don't think. I mean, they drop points against City, but I don't think they drop points against Wolves and Bournemouth. I think they get a tie, and I
Let me
just
tell you this.
go
Let
ahead.
me just tell you one thing. If Everton beats Man City, by sheer luck. Whether they play 90 minutes defensively and get one ball up the field and they score, Real Madrid progresses through to the Champions League final.
Wait, what are you
So
following right now? Did you just go back to Champions League?
no, I'm just saying because if Everton is able to pull off a result against Man City, which they absolutely need to do, I think if the problem is that if you don't pull off a result against Man City, whether it's a tie or a win, you're like, you know how nervous you're gonna get into the last two games. You're gonna be like, I'm at point of being relegated, basically. It's only
Okay,
two games left. You see what I'm saying?
yeah.
So I think that Man City game for them is going to be like very crucial in them staying alive.
Well,
Uh,
if Everton can somehow get a tie or 3 points versus City, obviously you go into your last two games knowing that you can beat weaker teams in Wolves and Bournemouth. But like you mentioned, it's also the last 3 games, 4 games, 5 games for some teams of the
yeah,
season where
yeah.
it's a lot in play.
Let me ask you this though. I guess this is another way to look at the bottom five, right? Okay, I'm gonna tell you the fixtures that they have to play, and you tell me who probably has the easier fixtures. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So for Everton, they play Man City, they play Wolves, and they play Everton. I mean, and they play Bournemouth. I'm sorry, they play Bournemouth. Um, I think it's so. Man City's probably the hardest team there. Wolverhampton's is beatable. Bournemouth is beatable. For Leicester, they play Liverpool, they play Newcastle, and they play West Ham United. Now, they don't seem like great teams, but Liverpool is fighting for a top four spot.
Correct.
Newcastle is fighting for a top four spot. And West Ham is probably fighting for at least a top five spot to be back in Europa League. So that seems to me like that's a terrible way to finish your last three games.
Yeah.
Leeds Leeds plays Newcastle, West Ham, and Tottenham. I think that one's pretty bad too because Newcastle and West Ham we already said they're playing for the top spots, and Tottenham is probably trying to squeeze in at least to that Europa Conference League. So I would assume that like that's not going to be an easy game. That Tottenham game is not going to be easy for them either. And then Nottingham, this is the last one, plays Chelsea, plays Arsenal, and plays Crystal Palace. Chelsea, although they're not really fighting for anything, I think they're fighting for their pride right now. At this point, I think they need to just get some results, even if they finish 10th in the league.
Yeah, and
Arsenal, Arsenal's fighting for the top spot. Crystal Palace is like so. So maybe Nottingham has a chance, but that Arsenal game, it's almost a loss for them because Arsenal it's a must win for them.
yeah, and I find it amusing for football fans that the Premier is going to end the way it ends with, the top seven playing the bottom five, right? Like every game is a championship game. Like you have to win, you have to get points. Um,
Yeah.
and I don't even know what's more important at this point, trying to get into conference or Europa or not relegating. Obviously, you don't want to relegate. Um, Leicester's
You
been
think you think the players feel bad? Like if you're Arsenal and you're playing Southampton and you're like, if I whoop you today, like I know you're being relegated. You think the Arsenal players feel bad?
no. You,
That's
I
messed
mean,
up.
you feel bad. You feel bad after, but I don't think you feel bad during or before. Like because you're playing for your own champions. Like there's so much pressure on. Like for example, there's so much pressure on Arsenal, right?
Yeah.
Who does Arsenal play?
Ar-
Uh,
Uh, Arsenal plays
Brighton, Nottingham Forest, and Wolves to end their season. So they're not really in that conversation of feeling bad, but
only with Nottingham Forest. They can make or break Nottingham,
yeah,
I
they,
guess.
they can make a break. Yeah, I see what you're saying there.
That's
Uh,
the only one though. That's the only one for them. Newcastle has to play like I think Newcastle plays like two of them. They
Yeah,
play Leicester and Leeds.
yeah. So that like I'm not gonna say Newcastle's not a big club because they are. I mean, there's a movie based on them, but
Oh, the amazing movie called Goal.
but no, you don't. I don't know. Have you had to play someone ever in your playing career where you
To
felt
relegate them? No. That I felt bad? No.
yeah,
But
or
I've never relegated anybody. Like, and think about it as like a professional. Like, I think that's your livelihood. That's all that matters to you, right? Like, like when we play Sunday League, like it's not a big thing. It's Sunday League. Like, I don't care about winning it. Like, yes, I want to win the championship, but I'm not gonna go home and cry about it if I don't win, right? Like, it's Sunday League. It's whatever.
but you still
But like,
feel bad to relegate.
not really. It
I,
depends. It depends. It depends. Because I have And I'll tell you why it depends. Because I haven't played on a team that's so competitive that I'm like, we should not be relegated. You know what I mean? And if I do play on a team that's that competitive, we're not being relegated. So, so I've yet to be in that position where I'm like, this shouldn't be happening to us.
I kind of feel like that happened to Mambas a couple of times, but we weren't relegated because we lost. We relegated because everybody wanted to play the second division.
Yeah, well, but but we weren't like, I don't think we were like top quality either. Like
Yeah,
it wasn't like we're going into the first division and like we're about to whip all these teams or whatever. But
but
we had the quality to do it.
it's still like it still feels you still get that itch in your gut like mm, we
I'll tell you what though, I felt worse when we're getting beat 8-0 than we're being relegated.
not happening on my watch. Okay, so
Uh
Bright,
Moving
Bright,
back to the Prem League
Brighton loses 5-1 to
to
Everton.
Everton.
See, when you get results like that at the end of the season, that motivates you more than thinking like it's a fluke. Um,
Yeah, I guess the only team going into the relegation with some momentum is Everton and Nottingham, who won over the weekend. Those are the only two teams that are like,
yeah,
all right, we might have a chance at pulling ourselves out of this.
I can guarantee you Southampton ends at 20th place, Leeds end at 19th, and that 18th place is going to be between Leicester, Everton, and Nottingham Forest.
Well, yeah,
I,
that's
but
obvious.
but if I had to pick an 18th place today, I
Oh,
would
you're picking
say
Leeds.
I
You're
would
sticking with
say
Leeds.
yeah, I'm sticking with Leeds.
Do you think that if they're relegated, most of those players, top players, I guess, well, the more of their expensive players go their separate ways after that, or do you think they stick and fight the relegation?
I mean, like when it comes to James Vardy on Leicester,
Yeah, he's sticking through it. He's sticking through it.
I mean, he should have I mean, I don't want to say he should have left already, but he had the
I think
opportunity.
he, I think he was injured this whole year though.
Yeah, I mean, he debuted at like 33 and he's probably like 40 now.
Yeah,
So
Tillemans is gone. I think if you're talking about Leicester, Tillmans is gone. Madison is probably gone. I highly doubt he sticks around.
but you could have another Leeds United case where I don't know if you remember when they they got promoted and a bunch of their players were offered big contracts. One of them
oh, and they stayed.
and they stayed. Yeah. And I think the only player that has left since promotion is I can't even remember his name because he didn't get any playing time for City.
Oh, Kelvin Phillips,
Kevin Phillips, yeah.
who starts for England every single game, even though he doesn't play more than 2 minutes for Man City. Yeah, it's kind of strange.
I don't understand Neville and how he still has a job on the national level, but that's
Southgate, Southgate.
oh Southgate, yeah, yeah, you're right. My bad.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
Southgate.
Back to the let me moving back to the Prem though. Top five. Who do you think ends up in
I
the top five?
I'm looking at top seven, and here's why. Brighton is in
Okay.
seventh with 5 games left,
Mm-hmm.
and they're at 55 points, not too far behind Spurs, right? Who's in that
Make it
who's in that conference?
well if they win 2 games and they're like about even with the rest of the teams, right? Because most teams have played 35, except for Man U, Newcastle, and Man City. If they win their next 2 games and the other teams don't play, they're in top six. They'll knock off Tottenham easily. They just need
Correct.
one win to knock off Tottenham. So it'll be in top six. Um, so for Tottenham, these last 2 games are kind of crucial, or the last 3 games are crucial, right? Because if you don't win, you risk Europa Conference League. If I think they do qualify for Europa Conference League at 6, right? If I'm
Yeah.
not mistaken. So they have to play. They have to try to win that. I don't see anybody else challenging. Yeah, Aston Villa, I think they're too far back to challenge for that. So it's really just Brighton, Tottenham, Liverpool, Man U, Newcastle, Arsenal, and Man City fighting for Europe.
Even
Um,
even if Spurs win their next 3 matches, they'd only get 66 points.
which is doable for Brighton.
Which is doable because Spurs has Aston Villa, Brentford, and Leeds to finish off their season, which is doable, right? They can get those 9 points. However, Brighton is playing for 15 points,
Mm.
which would literally knock off Spurs. And if Liverpool, who ends their season with Leicester and Aston Villa and Southampton, and they can only make um
Well, they're playing the bottom of the bottom. So I feel
yeah,
like
and they're
they have
they're,
a
they're
good opportunity,
yeah, they're playing 71 points. So Brighton is playing for that conference. That's all they're playing for.
which would be something for them anyways.
Yeah,
You
and
know, I mean they're not a big name team, and they've never have been. I actually seen them play the other day, and I thought that they played pretty well. And they have a very very young team, a
and
very young team.
and I want to in the future, pretty soon, I want to do an episode on transfers because a lot of names. João Pedro just confirmed to Brighton,
Yeah, he comes in July 1st.
and then Milner is coming to Brighton.
Yeah, I saw that too. I thought that was pretty interesting. He's going to give that team a lot of experience, I think,
That's exactly what I thought too. Like
and
experience.
especially if McAllister leaves, he's like the perfect replacement,
Yeah,
just
and
experience wise.
yeah. So if Brighton ends their season playing conference, it shakes
Kudos to them, yeah. Kudos to
kudos
them.
and it shakes up things in the dressing room. Like if I'm McAllister, do I really want to leave
Or
to a
if you're
big team who's struggling and have that like you need to be the game changer?
and I think that's the problem that we're having early in the season because I don't know if it was Caicedo or it was one of their yeah, I think it was Caicedo. Caicedo wanted a big money transfer over the summer, I mean, over the winter, and he didn't get it. So they gave him a big contract instead because he was like very adamant about leaving. He was like,
Yeah.
"I'm come from like a poor town, like this is my opportunity, and I just, I'm thankful for the opportunity, but like I need to go on to better things." So correct. I think if they make it to conference league, you might incentivize people to stay and be like, look, we're gonna win conference league, and next year we're gonna be in either Europa League or we're gonna try to be in Champions League, and the project becomes uh, it almost becomes like a Leicester project when they won the Premier League, right? Like we're
Yeah.
not the we're not the we're not the top team, but I guarantee you we're gonna play for that top prize, which is winning the Premier League.
Yeah, exactly. I think the same thing. I think in qualifying for conference lets the team know and the owners like we need to focus on this core group, bring in one or two more players that can make a difference. I think what Brighton is lacking is a goal scorer.
You're not a fan of Danny Welbeck?
Never been. Never been.
Why?
I don't know.
He's okay. He's okay. But you're right. He's probably not your most quality forward. But I
Yeah.
think he's a pretty good forward. He's an established forward. He's like your Chris Wondolowski in San Jose.
Yeah, exactly. And you know how I feel about Wondolowski. We both feel the same way. I feel like a hypocrite because I always get a picture from that guy. But anyways, I think I think I think Brian gets
Europa Conference League. I think Liverpool plays Europa League next year, which isn't too bad for them for the season that they had.
well, I mean, Liverpool has 9 points. They can get them. That would, hypothetically speaking, get them ahead of United because United is
No,
not
you
is not playing
they're not playing
level.
well,
They're not, they're
but
not they're not playing
they
well and they're making a lot of defensive mistakes.
they're okay. So Man United has one game ahead of Liverpool. They've only played 34. Liverpool has played 35, but they
Mhm.
have one more point than Liverpool.
Correct.
So Manchester realistically can afford to lose one more game and still finish the season above Liverpool. You see what I'm saying? So I highly doubt that they give up so many games that Liverpool jumps them. Um, and honestly, personally, I would prefer to see Manchester United in the Champions League next year than Liverpool. I just think that they have more quality players. Although I think this is going to be a huge summer transfer window for Manchester United. Not so much for Liverpool because I think Liverpool doesn't tend to spend too much money in the transfer market, and when they do, I feel like they spend it on the wrong players. But I think for Manchester United, there's going to be a lot of people going out and a lot of people coming in. Um,
Yeah.
Probably not a lot of big name players, but a lot of role players is what I see coming into the team. If that makes sense.
No, yeah. I get what you're saying. You think United is going to fill in some gaps?
Like
Uh,
you get rid of Fred, you bring in McAllister if you can, right? Like that. Like
yeah.
you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. I get what you're saying. Like an established player, you bring in an established player with experience. You don't bring a big name.
Well, they can be kind of both, right? Like who's a big name player that you could probably get? Oh, you know who I heard you guys were linked to?
Dijon
Which day on?
from Barca.
Oh, Frankie? Oh, but I think he's a big name player though. If you guys pull him off, bro, I I know you don't like him too much at Barca, but I think he's a wonderful player, bro.
I've never said I don't like him.
I could have sworn you're like, we want to get
No,
rid of him and all this.
no. My,
Oh, okay, okay.
there's players on Barca that I feel like we can get rid of to
Uh-huh.
to get money because like we need the money like desperately.
But like, okay, so Frankie, Pedro, Gavi, you would rather get rid of Frankie out of those three? Or who would if you had to get rid of one of those three, who are you getting rid of?
If I had to get rid of Pedri, Gavi, or Frankie,
Yeah,
I'd get
easily
I'd,
Gavi.
I'd get rid of Gavi.
Yeah, easily, right? Okay. Okay. So we agree on that.
Yeah, like
And then what if it's between Pedri and Frankie?
Pedri and Frankie.
Yeah.
I'd say Frankie.
You'd get
I
okay.
I only say Frankie because I think Pedri's season wasn't that good. He was injured. Obviously, he played a crazy amount of games the year
Play
before.
like 200 games the year before.
Yeah, like he was playing like a game every 3 days. Um, that being said, I don't want to get rid of Frankie because I think we have a good young core.
Yeah.
But what affects Barca is that we can't pay players. Like we can't make transfers. Literally, our FIFA fair play came back. And they're like, you can't make any transfers unless you let people go, and some of your current players lower their salaries. I mean, what player goes to a big team and only gets paid 13 mil? Like they're not going to do that, right? So I wouldn't want to see Frankie leave, but I will tell you this: who is connected to United is Ansu Fati.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, he's linked to
But you
United
see,
for
that's
70 mil.
that's that's the transfer that I don't see being beneficial for Manchester United, and I'll tell you why.
Not at this point because they already found Garnacho.
Well, you have look. I'll just name you a few: Garnacho, Jadon Sancho. You have Martial. You have Marcus Rashford. You have
Anthony.
potentially. You have Anthony, and you have potentially Mason Greenwood, right? I don't know if he ever comes back. I don't know what's going on there, but
Yeah,
possibly, right?
we'll we'll
Possibly.
we'll we'll have a transfer podcast, but Greenwood, he's off of United.
Oh, he's gone. He's gone.
He's
Gone.
he's gone. He's gone.
Okay.
He's not ever gonna come back to United.
Okay. Well, so then you have Garnacho. That's six. That's six attacking players. What you have no need for Ansu Fati, even if you get rid of Martial. Um, it makes no sense to bring in Ansu Fati, like because he's just going to compete against all these other players, and then he's going to go to waste. I think the problem for Manchester United really lies in the midfield. You guys need more midfield players and defensive players, if anything. And you probably need a new goalie. I'm not going to lie about that. You guys probably. I'll
They're
tell you
saying
what.
he's staying. They're saying he's staying.
If Nottingham Forest goes down, I know a good goalie that plays there that you might want to pick up. I'm just saying.
I'm
I'm
just
just saying.
saying. I'm not against that. Give me
You
Navas.
know,
Give me
you know,
Navas.
you you know who I think would fit well in Manchester United too? Uh, Nicolo Varela from Inter Milan.
Yeah,
I think that's the type of like, and he's like such a like box to box player, very physical, knows how to score. That's the kind of player you need instead of somebody like Fred. You know what I mean? Or McTominay, who's just like a little wild on the ball. Um, But I definitely see. I think Man United makes the Champions League. Newcastle makes the Champions League. Arsenal and Man City, of course, they make the Champions League. Um, the real question, I think, is: do you see Manchester City dropping any points and letting Arsenal back into the race to win the Premier League?
okay, so I'll give you this. Arsenal have 3 games left. City have 4 games left. Arsenal
Mm-hmm.
ends the season, pretty light. Brighton, Nottingham Forest, Wolves. City, on the other hand, has 7 games in the next 26 days. Madrid today, Everton, Madrid, Chelsea, Brighton, Brentford, and then they finish the season playing United in the FA Cup. And that's not me adding a Champions League final.
If
That
they make it, yeah. If they make
if they
it,
make it, we'll get to that.
yeah. So
No,
I think,
I don't see them honestly. I don't see them dropping any points at all. I don't.
and you
I
know, their
I
two,
think
their
I
two biggest
go
I'm
ahead.
sorry to cut you off. Their two biggest games are going to be Brighton and Everton. Everton because they're facing relegation, and Brighton because they want to make Europe. So you're right.
Yeah, and we'll get to this later this week. Chicharito was quoted saying that a big team isn't big because they play big finals or big games and win them. Big teams go to Everton and play that game as it was a Champions League. They go into Brighton and play like it was a Champions League final. Um, I like City this year. I don't want City the club to win anything, but like their players have. I mean, come on, Haaland has.
I do love their players though. I do
Yeah,
love their players.
yeah.
You know what?
You don't like their coach, but you like their players. I don't like how the club has been built in the last 10 years. But I like Pep
Yeah.
and some of the players they have. I like them. Um,
I will say this about Man City. I think this year the pieces of the puzzle finally started finding their place. For instance,
yeah,
Ake was like he signed over from I think from Bournemouth, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember exactly where he came from. But like he's been on the team for like 2 or 3 years now, and it's never seemed like he was making his like his mark on the team. He can never get like a starting role. Now he's like an untouchable starter.
Yeah,
Jack Grealish, he came over
Aston Villa.
from Aston Villa,
He had a
and
horrible first year there.
exactly, and he's finally finding his footing. Now it's like he's like almost like a starter every game.
Yeah,
Um, who else?
Fernandez.
Really,
Fernandez.
Fernandez.
I mean, fuck. Oh, I can't believe I just fumbled his name. Number 20.
Alvarez,
No, number 20.
20, number 20. Where does he
Uh,
play?
number 10 for Portugal.
You talking about Bruno Fernandez from Manchester United?
No, no, no. That's what I'm saying. I can't believe I just fumbled his name. From City,
And he plays for Portugal. Or are you talking about the defense?
the Swiss Army knife. He's playing everywhere right now.
Swiss Army knife. Are you talking about what's his name? Um, the defensive Ruben Diaz.
No,
Oh, Bernardo Silva.
Bernardo Silva. There you go.
Bernardo Silva. You're right. He's just been. I ain't gonna lie. He's been playing amazing. You watch
Yeah.
him play, and it's like Jesus Christ, bro. You're making these defenders look like they're little kids or something. Like they don't know what to do with you. Yes, and then add Holland on top of all that. Like he's just been boot scoring goals left and right. This man looks crazy when he scores all these goals. Yes,
And then
and
it
then
it seems like it took Pep Guardiola to publicly say that De Bruyne wasn't playing how he usually plays, and then he just switched it up, and now he's balling.
yeah. Although I would say De Bruyne always plays good for Man City. I think when he comes to Belgium, he just doesn't always replicate that. But yeah, I definitely think that they're just like this. If this isn't their year, they will never have their year. I think. I think this is their year to win it. It just seems that way to me, at least. And you know what's gonna suck is if they do win it, Haaland wins his Champions League on his debut for Man City. Um, so does Julian Alvarez. He's probably gonna have the best season because he wins the World Cup, then he goes off to win the Champions League.
And he
Um,
actually has good stats for a player that comes off the bench and only plays about 20 minutes.
yeah, I think what sucks for him is that he's probably the nine that could fit in Real Madrid. Like he's not your typical goal scorer, but he has the work rate of a midfielder instead of most forwards are lazy to just stay up top and really do anything. He's like all over the place. Yeah, yeah, you're probably right. I think Man City, if anything, this has to be their year.
So
Although,
so
although
go ahead,
Real
go ahead.
Madrid gonna make it impossible for them. We gonna do what we do. You know.
So
Hey,
to
go
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 ahead, go
ahead,
ahead,
go
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 ahead.
go go
No,
go.
I
Well,
was
we're
I
gonna
was
talk
just
we're gonna talk about champions right now. So
okay. I
six.
was just gonna say Rodrigo has been playing amazing, and I
Okay,
know that's the
relax.
that's the last thing
Let's finish off
that's
with
the
the
last thing
prem.
Man City. Okay, go ahead.
You're not
Um,
you're not an Arsenal fan, but Arsenal was your team this season.
this season, yes, yes.
How do you feel? Like if you had to
I
put your like yeah, go ahead. How do you feel about the
uh,
season ending in second place?
honestly, I wouldn't even want them to win the Premier League now because they couldn't beat Man City at least once. I would feel like even if they won it, they didn't win it because they couldn't pull it off again. I feel like that game against Man City was crucial and they needed to win that game. And they just bottled that game. Had they win that game, I'd be like, it's over. They're gonna win the Premier League. And they established themselves as the dominant team. And they didn't do that. They went into that game and just like, I don't know what they did, but they
Yeah.
just played
So
crappy.
here's my question to you, similar to what you made earlier about relegation and feeling sorry for playing a team that's being relegated. Arteta and Pep are really good friends. Do
Mm-hmm.
you think Pep purposely Okay, best case scenario, they beat Madrid today. Not only do they beat Madrid, but like Wayne Rooney said this week, they're not gonna beat, but they're gonna whoop Madrid. If that happens, do you think Pep says, I'm going for the Champions League? That's what I'm focusing on. Arteta can have the league. Let me play
Like
against
he throws the games kind
let me
of
pl-
like
let
by playing bench players.
let me play Everton, Brighton, and Brentford with my bench to
I won't
rest.
respect it. I won't respect it. I won't respect the champions.
But we don't know, like behind closed doors, we don't know what's happening. So like that's my question to you. Do you think that's a possibility?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I think if you're Pep, you're like, if you go on and you trash Real Madrid, you're gonna be like, I'm gonna win it all now. Like I
Bro,
want it all. I
bro.
want it
And I
all.
know how much you hate him. That's why I asked you that question because I know he's not gonna do that.
No, of course not. He's gonna be
So
like, this is my year to win it all.
yeah.
And he gonna turn
Yeah.
around and be like, I'm about to go whip Real Madrid. I'm about to go win the Champions League. I'm gonna win the Premier League. And to top it all off, I'm gonna go spank Manchester United in the FA Cup final. That's exactly what he's gonna think.
Yep. I think that's how the Prem ends for City. First place, Champions League, FA Cup win. Um, to all the Arsenal fans watching, you guys have a great project there. Arteta is the guy there. I wouldn't fire him.
Yeah. I would no, of course not.
The only
No, they
thing, the
can't.
only thing that worries me in the Arsenal facilities is their sporting director being lured into different teams because he's really good at what he does. I don't think he has like a specific contract there. And if he does, I think it's over. I think he's just waiting for different clubs to reach out. I would love him at Barca. I think he does a fantastic job with players. You know what happened with Aubameyang? He agreed with the coach. Coach agreed with him. Like we gotta let him go, and they let him go. I think those type of decisions makes or breaks a team. And when you have
Yeah, and it could be great for Barca because I feel like Barca makes terrible decisions.
yeah, so that's the only thing that I would say for Arsenal. That's the key role that I would like not to be messed around with. But let's take a quick break, and we're gonna finish off with Champions League when we come back. And I know you got a lot to talk about, so we'll be right back in a couple seconds.
Bye bye.
All right, guys, welcome back to the last segment of today Champions League final. I know Eric is super excited to talk about what's going on today. For those who maybe missed the first half of the podcast, we talked about the premiere, how it's going to end,
And then a
and
lot of nonsense
a lot of
as
nonsense.
well.
But most importantly, Champions League, May 9th. It's Tuesday morning. We got up super early to talk about this because we're at the end of every single season, basically. But the most exciting every year is Prem and Champions League this year, being a little different. I think there's two teams up there that we all knew were going to be there, which is City and Madrid. And then there's two teams that we thought could make it, and ultimately, they're there for a reason. So I'm going to start off with Inter versus Milan,
Which is tomorrow, not today,
which is
but yes.
tomorrow. But I just want to start with that one because we're not going to talk until after that game's over. And the second thing, there's really not much to say about it. It's two teams that have played each other 5 times this season. Inter Milan has beat Milan 3 times. Milan has won,
Milan once.
and then they tied once. They're both coming off wins, both big wins. Milan beats Lazio 2-0. Inter beats Roma. Although what they are playing is that Champions League spot. Inter is in
Yeah.
fourth currently, and Milan is in fifth. So This could mean a lot going into to these last final weeks of the season as well.
Yeah, and I think it's very important for them to try to be back in the Champions League. And as you know, winning the Champions League puts you right back in the tournament the next year, no matter what position you are in your domestic league. Who do you think has the upper hand here? I'll let you go first because I already know what I'm gonna say. But go ahead.
Honestly, if I mean, we're betting men. I mean, I say Inter Milan has the upper hand in this derby. But don't get me
Yeah,
wrong. Don't get me wrong. That Milan locker room,
yeah, I know that it's just something about them that I feel like they can pull a result out of
they
nowhere.
and
You,
I don't think they're too worried about pulling off a result in the Serie A because one, they're not going to win the league. Two, yes, they want to be in champions, but I mean, what guarantees you champions more than winning champions, right?
yeah, that's the
So
ultimate guarantee.
it's the ultimate guarantee. I think the first leg ends in a draw. I'll say 1-1, and then they run it back next week. They run it back next week, and I think at that
You know
point,
what the you know what the interesting thing about this about their derby is that
it's at the same stadium.
all exactly, yeah, all games are home games. Like it's just so weird. Like it's no like let's go to my stadium and then we go to your stadium. It's like okay, like
Yeah,
let's
it's
just
not
go
like
to
you
our
have
stadium.
15% of the away fans that travel to watch you play.
Like half the stadium is gonna be Milan, and
It's
then half the other
50-50.
stadium is gonna be Inter Milan.
And it
It's
gets
just so
crazy. And and we both know that, especially this season, in every single derby, it's been wild.
yeah.
Like they're playing these derbies as if it was a final. Um, but this week I have it a draw 1-1.
You have it a draw.
Yeah, I have it a draw 1-1.
I don't know, man. I don't. This is a difficult one. Who do you think on paper? Who do you think has a better team?
On
Like on
paper,
paper, yeah, on paper.
Milan,
AC Milan.
AC Milan. I think on paper AC Milan has a better team. Name and performance wise and stat wise, they do. And you've seen the games this year. Those W's for Inter Milan haven't been 3-0, 5-1. It's been 1-0. I think one was 3-2.
No,
Um
they beat in the Super Copa. They beat Milan 3-0. But then,
okay.
oh yeah, and then
But
in the Coppa
that
Italia they beat them 3-0 too.
okay, never mind. I spoke too soon.
But I will say Milan has a very electrifying team. I think, especially in Rafael Leao, he is just like a game changer for this team. He's just like the all of a sudden he like gets the ball and he's just like he's going on you. And he's like taking the whole team and then
Yeah.
it's a tap in goal somewhere.
And the
Um,
same thing for Giroud. Like he had a good season last year, and then this year he's just like team on my
he's so
shoulders. I
so.
got you guys.
Oh yeah, I guess so. Yeah, you're right actually. Yeah, he's actually been playing very well, even though he's like 40 years old now or something. 36 is what
Yeah,
he is. But he's been playing pretty well. I can't lie about that.
aging like fine wine over there, but
Brahim Diaz, he's been playing amazing too, I think. Ex Real Madrid player.
bro, you know who's been playing really, really good too?
Oh,
Hernandez.
oh yeah. Yeah, but the brothers always play great. And I think he's actually had a spectacular season this year.
That's what I'm saying. Like this year, he just took off. He was like, all right, bam.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna I'm gonna do things that you've never seen a left back do before.
Yeah. And then on the other side though, you have Lukaku, who hasn't had a stellar performance, but he's been very important in these derby games. I don't know if you've noticed, but like I think that oh no, that was actually against Juventus where he had the whole issue where he got a red card, I think, and then they took it
Yeah.
away or something like that, right? But Lukaku, but
He just always takes like off field matters too personal, and
I don't know.
it carries into the game.
I don't know. I honestly I didn't look into too much into that situation. I just know he got a red card and then they took it away. So I can't really speak on it. But but I think he might be one of the decision factors in this game. I would like to see a lot more from Joaquin Correa, who was
Yeah.
supposed to go to the World Cup and didn't go end up because he was injured. Martinez as well, Arturo. I think he can be definitely a game changer. And then Dzeko, who's still going at the so you got the battle of the two old forwards here going on, Oliver Giroud and Dzeko, both over 35. Um, and then you have Barella on that team. Um, yeah, it's gonna be a very interesting game tomorrow, I think.
I,
And you know what? I will say this. I don't think it really matters what happens tomorrow because the second game is going to be the like like it doesn't matter if Inter wins 3-0 tomorrow. Like it's still going to be a game the following
the
week.
second
Like
leg.
that, yeah, the second leg is going to be like still definitive. Whether they a team wins 3-0, 2-0, like I don't think it's going to be finished at all. That's just how I'm viewing this game.
Now, if you were to tell me how the game was going to be played, what do you think it's going to look like?
I ideally I would say it's going to be a lot of back and forth. But because this is a Champions League semifinal, they might be a little more conservative. I tend to think that they'll come off a little more conservative, and they won't they'll play more precise and try to give the ball away a lot less. Like more of the time you probably take a lot more chances, and you're like, all right, let's just try to get a goal and go full throttle. But I think here they're gonna try to wait and seek out an error from the other team.
Yeah, I would say it. I wouldn't say it's going to be slow as far as pace, but I'm gonna compare it to a boxing match where those first two rounds, which in this
You
case,
fill out the player, right?
yeah, you fill out the player, the team. Uh, I will say it's gonna be very physical and it's gonna be very um. There's gonna be
Let me ask you this.
a lot of fouls in the midfield area.
That's exactly what I was going to ask. Do you think these games finish with both teams with 11 players?
I think the first leg ends with 11 players. I don't think the second one does. And I'll tell you this because both teams during the season have gotten like heavy legs, so they just recur to committing multiple fouls back to back, and then they get sent off or whatever. But um, if it comes to the last 5 minutes of the second leg, it's tied in aggregate. I think Milan has better legs and better players to get that goal, or at least finish off the game.
Who you
But
think will win it in a PK shootout?
in a PK shootout,
Yeah.
I'm going with Milan's goalkeeper.
Yeah, he's actually pretty good. He is. Isn't he the goalie of France? The new goalie of France? Since Hugo
Yeah,
Lloris is gone?
yeah.
He is, right? Yeah. Um, yeah, I think he is. Yep, he is.
He's
Yeah.
better in
Yep.
France.
I'm probably going with Milan. I think Inter Milan wins this if it finishes in normal time. If it goes to PKs, I think Milan pulls it off.
I, I'm
That's
I'm I'm letting you guys know on today's podcast, Milan is going to the final.
We shall see.
Milan's going to the
We shall see.
but
Uh,
let's get into I think I mean both semifinals are great, phenomenal games.
yeah, I think this is one of the Champions League semifinals that I've been very excited about.
Yeah,
Like sometimes you get to the semis and you're like, I don't know how I feel about this semifinal. But this year, I think has been like they're gonna give us some hell of a games. I think.
at least we're hoping. At least we're
Yeah, at
hoping.
least we're hoping. Yeah, the last thing I want to see is like a team go out like 4-0 today.
Yeah,
You know what I
and
mean?
so to my question, to start off this segment,
Uh-huh.
how is Madrid coming in? How do you see them coming in to today's
I
semi
think
against City?
I think Ancelotti doesn't take a risk. I think you're gonna go in Vinicius, Benzema, Rodrigo. and you're gonna go Modric, Cruz, and Valverde in the middle. And then I don't know if Mendy's back, but if he's not, then you're going Camavinga at the left back. I don't know if David Alaba is back, and if not, then you're probably going Nacho and Militao. Or actually, maybe you play Rudiger and then you do Carvajal. I don't think he takes any risk, like um putting in Tuachameni or Ceballos or putting Valverde up top instead in the middle. I think he plays it safe and he plays his strongest players. That's my prediction.
Okay, so on the weekend, you guys
Yeah,
played
he did.
Copa del Rey
Osasuna. Yep. Oh yeah, yeah. Osasuna.
against Osasuna. You guys won. Big result because you obviously come back into rhythm at least with with,
Hmm.
with most of your starting players. Did you like Camavinga on the left hand side?
You know, I think he does well on that side. Um, he makes some mistakes occasionally, but I think he's pretty defensive minded, and he has great recovery. So even if he gets beat, he's pretty good at tracking back. And so Alaba plays, so I expect him to play today. Um, you know who has not been playing it though? Militao. I feel like his head's been all over the place. He's given the couple games before Osasuna, he gave away a couple goals. Um, so he might be the only one that I see coming out. And maybe he goes with Rudiger instead of him. Uh, but I don't know. It's yeah, almost like 50-50. I don't know what Ancelotti does there, but I think you stick with Alaba. I mean with Camavinga. I don't see yeah. I don't think Mendy is back. So I think you have to go with Camavinga in the left back. He would be up against either Mahrez or Bernardo Silva, if I'm not mistaken, right?
That's
Depending
where
on who Pep goes with.
yeah, and that's where the game gets
Or
interesting.
Phil Foden,
Or Phil Foden. Yeah, you just can't, yeah. But
you know?
with so you'll take the Madrid side. I'll take I guess the City side, and we'll go there. Pep can do a lot of things, right? You can go Silva,
What
you can go
what
Foden.
what do you think he comes out with though? Let's just see what you think.
Um,
You have to go with Holland up top. I highly doubt he touches that.
so I think they go Haaland at the 9, Grealish on the right. No, sorry, the left. I think he sticks to his guns.
De Bruyne.
I think he goes De Bruyne, and then I think in the
I think
midfield,
he goes with Silva on the right side.
yeah, Silva on the right side, De Bruyne in the middle. Um, same
Then
same
you
four in the back,
uh,
same
uh,
three in the
you
middle.
pro- you think he goes Rodri and Gundogan
Yeah,
as your holders, and
yeah.
then yeah, but they usually play 3-2.
It looks like a
Uh,
three.
but it's not right. It's four. Then
Yeah,
who? So he'll go Ake. He'll go John. Oh yeah, that's the other player. John Stone. John Stone plays up. He plays in the defensive midfield role when they push up. Yeah, there you go. And
yeah.
that
So
gives Gundogan more freedom to roam around.
yeah, City plays a 4-3-3 on paper, and sometimes on the offensive side of the ball, it looks like a 3-2-4-1
Yeah,
because of the attackers, right? Over the weekend they started Foden and Mahrez only, and I think only because one, they played Leeds, and two, they know we got to give some of these players some rest.
from
Um,
Madrid.
for Madrid, and they play Lewis and Gundogan. Not gonna happen today. So if I'm going at you, if I'm going at Madrid today, I'm gonna go Ake, Ruben Diaz, and on the right side, I'm gonna go with John Stones. In the midfield, I'm gonna go Gundogan, eh,
Rodri.
Rodri, De Bruyne, Haaland, Haaland up top with Grealish and Bruno Fernandez. I mean Bernardo
Bernardo
Silva.
Silva.
Bernardo
Yeah.
Silva. I'm always thinking about you.
Second time in this podcast.
Second time today. That's what I'm going at, and I think the game's honestly gonna go back and forth.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of back and forth.
And there's more pressure on City. I'll tell you that. There's more pressure on City than there is Madrid.
Why you say that?
One, because Madrid's always been there. Madrid has literally been the underdog in the Champions League the last
The past 5 years.
the last 5 years and have won it 4 times.
Yeah, that's very true.
And
Uh,
and City has been there
and bottled it.
and bottled it. Like they've been there, but they haven't won it. They haven't. It's like Mexico. They've never made it to the next round. They know they're gonna get to semis, but can they get to a final and win it? That's where City's at. But like you mentioned earlier, if City cannot win anything this year,
I don't think they could ever win it.
like Pep is gonna be the US national team coach because he's not gonna go anywhere else. And he's not staying with City.
Yeah. Yeah. And if he wins it, do you think he sticks around with City
Yeah.
easily?
Well, I don't
Yeah.
know. He could say, there you go. I gave it to you guys. You guys want it.
Now I'm gonna go coach Spain or something.
Yeah, and then like no, not Spain because they got a new coach. But who takes over City? Zidane?
No, I don't
Lu-
think he'll take. I
Lu-
don't think he'll take that job.
Luis
Luis Enrique.
Luis Enrique?
Yeah, it's interesting to know. It's interesting to think about. Let me ask you this: who do you think wins today, or what is your prediction for today's game? And the game's being played in the Bernabeu, which is in
Yeah,
Madrid.
yeah.
For people who don't know. So, what do you think?
You want my honest answer?
Yeah, I want your honest answer.
I think City wins 3-1 today.
3-1. You know what I would hate, and this is something that happens a lot with Real Madrid. We make early mistakes and like get scored on early in the game. I would hate for that. I I want to say we win 2-1. I think.
That's a lot to ask for. I'm not gonna lie, that's a lot to ask
You
for.
think so? You think so? I think we win 2-1 though. I think we pull it
I
off.
I think I think that Pep has perfected their three center backs communication and connection with the midfielder so good that you're not gonna see Benzema easily checking into those spaces, receiving, or
But this is what they haven't dealt with. They haven't dealt with Vinny coming down the line on you. And I think that's Vinny is the type of player that like it don't matter how many times you stop him, he's gonna keep coming and coming and coming and coming and coming and coming.
here's
And
here's
and
here,
I don't think Ake has it. I don't think what's the
Ake for
Swiss
sure
dude?
doesn't have it. He already dealt with Messi and Messi lo hizo mierda.
What about what's the other dude? Akanji. Akanji. He's good, but I think he's gonna get tested today. I think so.
I will say this though, when you play physical against Vini, he loses
He
it. He loses it first.
yes, and that's the risk that we have. I think he needs to learn how to control himself and be like, okay, I'm upset, but I need to go out there and
And
just
prove it
play
wrong.
my game.
Yeah.
And just play my game. Yes.
So
Yes.
that's where it becomes interesting. Like you mentioned earlier, um, the duels on the right side are going to be good with Camavinga staying at
yeah,
left,
and yep.
and
And
then
coming the other way, coming
and,
the other way, you have Vinny.
yeah, exactly. So that's why I think Bernardo Silva gets the start because he's really good at tracking back, but he's also really good at
And
not.
holding the ball.
Bro, he holds the ball really well, and he knows when he can beat you to the line and get a cross in, or he can get a cross in from 35 yards out on the wing into Haaland, and there you go, golazo. But interesting matchups nonetheless. Same thing with Haaland. Like, I think Haaland has an easier job because you don't know who's going to be at center back. But
Yeah.
but I think if maybe you get Mendy back, which I highly doubt.
Mm-mm. I will say this though. I think Alaba has played against Holland before,
Yeah,
being
yeah,
at
yeah.
Bayern Munich
But
and Holland being at Borussia. So
but
tal
just
vez le tiene la medida, maybe.
maybe. But we have a partnership with Alaba and
Yeah,
Militao, and Militao's not
yeah,
100%. Or maybe he just turns it on.
maybe. Yeah,
Maybe
maybe
he
this
just turns
is
it
just
on.
his game. Let
Yeah.
me one more last question. One last question. Do you see any of the coaches throwing a curveball in there? Meaning, do you see a player that you're like, I did not expect this player to play, and he throws him in there?
I'll tell you who I do it wouldn't surprise me. I kind of expect it.
Uh-huh.
I think Pep knows what he's doing with this player. I think Alvarez gets a start. I don't know why.
That's Hey, I was just thinking the exact same thing. I'm like, this is the perfect game for like to just throw in Alvarez and like have
Bro,
him
if you can
help
have
out.
him running around, pressuring the back line like he always does
It's a mistake on Madrid, bro. And I think it's
in the first 5 minutes, in
especially
the first 5 minutes.
Yeah, I think Militao makes a mistake and it's just like it eats him alive.
Yeah, I think today's a perfect game to play 4-4-2, 4-4-2 because obviously that's what it looks like on paper. Alvarez makes beautiful defensive runs.
Yeah.
He pressures the back line. I think he does a really good job doing that, meaning that all that Haaland has to do is receive the ball and score some goals. It wouldn't surprise me, but how do you fit Grealish in there? How do you fit Bruno in there? I mean
Bernardo, bro.
Bernardo. It's like your Berhalter.
Berharzer.
Berhalter. Really interesting game. I'm sticking with 3-1 City. Not a hat trick by Haaland because Pep's gonna take him off after two.
Yeah. Was weird. I don't know why he would do that, but yeah, probably. You're
He
probably right
loves
about
Messi.
that.
He loves Messi.
Um, all right. Well, there it is. You said it 3-1. I think 3-1 to Man City. I think it's 2-1 to Madrid. We're gonna see in about 4 hours. We'll know what's going on. We'll
Yep.
be 15 minutes deep in it.
Well, we'll see. I mean, great games. I hope you guys get to watch them. I know some of you guys might be at work. Um,
Tune in. Just listen. That's
just
what I do.
listen, tune in.
Just listen.
Honestly, it'd be a good game to just watch and react to live and have some of these comments come in. But it's understandable. It's Tuesday, so we will see you guys a couple times.
Hopefully late. Yeah. Hopefully later on in the week. Right. Hopefully we
Yeah,
can get something going.
hopefully we can get at least two more episodes this week. I feel like we owe you guys. Eric went on vacation. I went on vacation, but we're ready to go. It's end of the seasons. A lot to talk about. A lot of transfers. Um, we do want to talk about MLS because I don't think we give it the credit that it deserves. But
Ready? I don't know about all that.
there's some interesting things happening there. But um, we got to get to work. So we will see you guys this week. Hope you guys comment, subscribe, like, and if you guys watch this before the game, comment what the score is going to be. Let
Yeah.
us
Give
know.
us your prediction.
Give us a
Give us
prediction.
your Yeah. All right, everybody.
All right, guys.
Have
See
a
you on
good
the
one.
next one.